A double dose of debt worries have markets right across the world on edge again. The failure of Washington's special committee to agree on ways to cut the colossal US deficit, together with the slow-motion crash that is Europe, is raising the spectre of a major global slump without the political leadership to drive a solution. Here's Philip Lasker.
Global sentiment is hostage to this. Warring American politicians chase down corridors as they're deadlocked on cutting the government deficit.
No, not yet.
Everything getting done? Anything getting done?
Global markets are sinking because not enough is getting done in Europe or the US, where the inaction could trigger automatic spending cuts and an end to some stimulus measures.
The fiscal policy could tighten up very sharply and send the economy back into recession, or at least make it skate very close to recession, and that would be bad.
Ironically, it was the Japanese who criticised US inaction.
In the United States, the Democrat and Republican lawmakers need to stand in the shoes of the public.
The concerns swirling around both Europe and the US are raising the anxiety levels throughout the banking system.
There have been significant widening in many measures of interbank stress, in particular looking at the difficulty of European banks in obtaining US dollar funding. Some of those measures of stress are now at levels they were in the fourth quarter of 2008.
Equity markets throughout Asia were lower, but Australian shares proved more resilient after an early sharp fall.
The main turnaround was probably in the banks. They were all down over 1% to start with, and a lot of them ended up.
Analysts were encouraged the market bounced back to close above the important 4,100 mark, which it broke in early trade. But it's no time to throw caution to the wind.
This is not a time to be leading people onto the battlefield with bullets flying around. Far better the battle sorts itself out. In other words, Europe sorts itself out and provides some certainty for investors to re-enter the market.
The Australian dollar, which is trading comfortably below parity, is also a casualty of that uncertainty. It's lost ground to even the euro as European and American investors repatriate funds and banks rebuild.
Investors who do want to invest in Australia are having trouble getting credit from banks. There's a real shortage of capital in the banking system right now, again because of the sovereign debt crisis in Europe. And also just general confidence about the global economy is withering.
The World Bank added its voice to those admitting Asia would be affected by the fallout, but says China's financial system is strong enough to withstand quite a few shocks.
So our basic scenario of a mild slowdown from 9.1% of growth this year to 8.4% next year, we believe is an adequate one.
But it may all depend on whether global markets get what they want.
They really want a blank cheque from the ECB in that sense to do whatever it takes.
Unfortunately for the markets, the Germans don't issue blank cheques.